Alright, grade 12s. As promised, here is one more repeat, I guess, of the lesson. I meant to copy it in class today, but things got messed up. So here is another example on how we graph transformations of sinusoidal functions. And we wanted to focus this last one on the cosine function. So remember, every time you're faced with one of these, take note of values for the amplitude, the period, the phase shift, and the vertical displacement. Alright, so the amplitude deals with our A value. So that's going to be 2. And remember that it's always the absolute value of the A value. Our period is going to be 2 pi divided by whatever the B value is. So 2 pi over 4 reduces to pi over 2. We may need to change this form to get a good denominator that we can use, but we'll see that in a moment. Our phase shift is equal to negative pi. That means we're shifting left pi. And that comes from our C value here. And our D value finally is equal to negative 1. This is our D value. That's what tells us our vertical displacement. Now we use that to draw a sketch of the graph before we actually graph it out. I find this is quite useful. Learned this from one of my mentor teachers here at Stellies, our beloved Mr. Agnew. There we go. Now, I know that this is a cosine function and it's a positive cosine function, so it's going to cross through here. Let me put in some different colors. Cross, or top there, cross on the way down, have a minimum here, cross our median there, our midline, and max out again. So remember, as I mentioned, we want to have some curves in here. No straight lines, no mountain peaks and deep ravines. Okay, we want curves. Now, our vertical displacement tells us where the midline is. We add the amplitude to that to get our maximum and subtract it to get our minimum. So that gives us our vertical axis information. Now we need horizontal axis information. Our C value, our phase shift, tells us where the function is going to start. And in our case, it's going to start at negative pi. Our period is, if this starts at negative pi, it's going to finish at pi over 2 later, which we know is going to be negative pi over 2. But how do we figure out these other numbers in between? So what I like to do is I take the period and I divide that by 4. Or, seen another way, I take the period and I multiply by a quarter. And that's going to give us pi over 8. So that's the size of the increment from here to here to here to here to here. I'm going to keep adding pi over 8. But if I'm starting with negative pi and I don't have that common denominator, right, this is negative pi over 1, I need to get a common denominator. So I'm going to think of this as negative 8 pi over 8. Same thing as negative pi, but now I've got a denominator I can work with. If I add 1 pi over 8 to negative 8 pi over 8, I'm going to get the following. Negative 7 pi over 8, negative 6 pi over 8, negative 5 pi over 8, and negative 4 pi over 8, which reduces to negative pi over 2. Now that I've got all that information, now I can put it onto my accurate graph. So I see that my maximum is at 1, my minimum is at negative 3. And I think I asked you for 2 full cycles of this. Because my increments were in pi over 8, I could either choose to have every box be pi over 8 or every 2 boxes be pi over 8. I don't have enough room for every 2 boxes, so I've elected to make each box an increment of pi over 8. That's going to make my graph super easy as well. Now my maximum was at 1. So I'm going to stretch that out a little bit. My minimum was at -3. So that's -1, -2, -3. There's a line just to help me keep track of where my maximums and my minimums are so I don't get too sloppy. And I'm going to put a dotted line like that at my midline to help me keep track of where my graph should be changing directions. Okay. Now from the box, I've got a key point at a height of 1 and -pi. That point is right here. Okay, so that's my maximum. It's crossing my midline at -7 pi over 8 and at -1. So -7 pi over 8 is right here and -1. It reaches a minimum at -6 pi over 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -6 pi over 8. It reaches a minimum. And I believe you could probably already start to see the pattern. From the maximum, 1 box later I'm going down. 1 box later I'm at the minimum. 1 box later I should be going up. Maximum, down, minimum, up, maximum, down, minimum, etc. Okay, and I can get a decent looking graph fairly quickly. Etc. Okay, and there you have it.